Good morning, good morning, good morning. Well, I was recording this on my walk, but realized I was moving the camera like this and this and this. And while I thought that it would show you, kind of up and down, what ended up happening is half of the video was sideways and things like that. So, unfortunately, as I've said before, I'm not the greatest at editing and things like that. I know markets pretty well and I like to cook and I know that pretty well, but editing and computer stuff is not my strong suit. So hopefully the sound and everything is okay. So I hope you guys are doing well and enjoying the markets and your day and so on. Um, Real quick, I'm not a financial planner. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a lawyer. Please use any of the information on my channel for entertainment purposes only and reach out to your financial planner, your accountant, or your lawyer for any financial decisions you make. I'm just a guy on YouTube sharing some of my experience and things that I've noticed. I don't know if that helps you or not, or if you find it interesting. Uh, that's all good with me. So, my sister also says that's all kind of stupid, so I feel weird kind of going through it. But she's a smart lady, so, I trust her opinion on that stuff. So let's talk about the housing market a bit because I keep seeing YouTube videos of people talking about how it's going to crash. I'm not going to say it's not, but I think they're giving some really bad advice because they take a lot of risk with somebody else's money. For the past however many years, 50, 60, 70, housing's been the best way to pass down generational wealth. I get that the Fed's raising rates and the markets are nervous and there are things going on, but I sure would hate to scare somebody out of buying their primary residence or their family home because of what's going on in the markets. Uh, to be honest, I think that that's a huge risk that realtors are willing to take with somebody else's family that is a big mistake. To be fair, like it's terrible. Their job should be to comfort people when the markets get scary because if you work a job and have saved some money and come up with a reasonable budget of something you can afford, why would you not buy a home? Because the Fed's raising rates? Because there's a war in Ukraine? Because? Like, it's all so stupid. It makes no sense. This is your home that you're going to live in. And all the noise of the news and the media and everything else, that's just noise. You shouldn't think about buying your home like that. If you're looking to buy an investment property, different conversation and we can talk about that stuff, but then I'd be looking at what your payment is, what your expected return is, so you can determine the return on investment for what you're putting down and so on and so on and so on. But my God, to put up pictures of houses on fire and talk about how new home builders are screwed and this and that and the other, when to be perfectly honest, you're probably wrong because no, the new home builders are not. 2008 was not that long ago. They were way smarter than last time. They weren't just putting up houses in hopes that people would come around and buy them. They waited for a buyer to come along. And sure, if that deal has fallen out recently, they've offered pretty good incentives for people to try to resell that property. But they've collected a down payment or earnest money that they probably didn't return. And now they've offered a bit of an incentive to move a property that they've built for somebody else, but they haven't overbuilt like they did last time, nor are they going to. Then add to that that they don't have those same loans. So let's go back to 2008 with the interest only payment and negative amortized loans, which is a good product for an investor, but not my mom, which is what was going on, and everybody was selling those to everybody they knew. So we all remember that, and we all seem to focus on how much houses fell. But add to that, at the time, you got into a house with an $800 a month payment that then matured into a normal payment. And maybe your payment went from usually tripled or quadrupled. So if you were around 800 a month, you were probably moving to somewhere between 2,400 and 3,200 a month. So here's your house, paid $700,000. please understand, all of this is made up numbers. The house has dropped to 500,000. So you're upside down 200,000 on the home, and now your payment goes from 800 a month to 3,000 a month. And the houses next door are going lower, and I think a lot of people might walk away from that position. Why not get back into a new house with a lower monthly payment because your payment just went up a ton, the housing prices are coming down, interest rates haven't changed, or if anything, they've been going lower to try to save the market. So you should be able to get in for much less than you were before. Now, fast forward till today. 2 years ago, rates were 3%. Some people were in the twos. Houses have gone up in price. Say you bought a $600,000 or $700,000 home that's gone up to $1,000,000, and whoa, it's getting scary because it might fall. Well, you also got an interest rate of high twos or low threes. So let's pretend those people are right for a minute, which I don't think. I don't think we're having some big collapse. But let's say we fall in half now, and that $1,000,000 home goes to 500,000. You're upside down the 200,000 because pretending we paid 7 again, upside down the same amount of money, 200,000, but you have a fixed rate at 3% and a pretty low payment in an environment where interest rates are now at 7%. So if you go looking for a home, you're going to end up paying more per month and have to take a loss on your home, come up with down payment, and. I just don't see people running from their houses in that scenario. I, I hate to say it, I'm locked in the same position. Now I'm perfectly happy. I like my home, but my rate's really low. And if the housing fell, well, I'm just stuck here and I'd be upside down. It's not like I'm going anywhere because where am I getting a lower payment? Everybody seems to disconnect that and just focuses on, oh, we had this huge increase and rates are going up and. But there's total loss of what's going on with the loans and the financing of how people are in their homes. Now, you want to think differently and wait for the market to collapse, that's fine. But to be honest, I want to own my home. I don't want to be a renter for the next 20 years. And nobody's going to scare me out of the market to put me in the position where I don't do that for my family and my kids. Because what happens when they're wrong? Let's say prices don't go up, but interest rates continue, which has been their argument that interest rates are going to go higher. I see that as a possibility. You know, the Fed said that they expect to have to raise longer and further than they originally thought. Thing is, while that's true, I don't really see it as the doom and gloom I saw it as before, because quite honestly, the markets have handled the shock that they gave to the system extremely well. The unemployment is okay, and well, Powell wants to create some unemployment, which I have mixed feelings about. They're not looking to destroy the economy, and I got to tell you, they'd be jumping up and down thrilled if we just caught ourselves and dealt with higher interest rate and moved forward. And I don't know, our interest rates don't seem so outrageous. People seem to be coming back into the market and they're picking up heads, they're doing more applications and everything else. And if there's demand, if we continue to have that demand, why would the Fed need to pivot to cut rates? Like, people are getting used to the higher rates now. They're not happy about it. And me, who also does lending, I'm one of the few. I'd like to see the rates hold here and go a little bit higher. I'm not banking they'll be lower in a couple of years. Maybe the 10-year and the 30-year have it wrong. Maybe they don't. Like the inverted yield curve, maybe we end up lower rates. But I'd rather see a strong economy that can handle the higher interest rates, and people who lend get paid and people who borrow pay to borrow and work their jobs and pay their bills. Like, I really don't see it as this dire situation. I think that that makes for great YouTube videos and probably drives traffic to people's uh, blogs and whatever else. But I think it's terrible advice and much more dangerous than you realize. I'm sure the thought process is, I'm protecting them. Like, what's the worst that happens? You're protecting them from potentially never being able to own a home. What kind of protection is that? The example somebody gave me is, well, my clients were able to qualify for a $500,000 home last year, and now they can only qualify for 350 because the rates have gone up. My answer is, well, I would have liked to buy Amazon 5 years ago or 10 years ago for less too. Things do change, but today's market is today's market. And my goal for anybody I'm talking to on my half-ass channel is to push you guys to save, whether that's a house, stocks, bonds, and like collectibles, whatever. And a house is the same thing. If the price drops and you can afford the payments and you stay there for 30 years, you're going to own it outright. If you paid 500 and you put down 10%, so you put up 50 grand, and the house drops to 400 over the next 30 years and you've been making your mortgage payments, well, you have 400,000 in equity. I don't know that I really see that as you've lost $100,000. I get the house went from 500 to 400, but I don't really see one investment as different than the other. And the bank's letting you leverage at a pretty high percentage rate. If you're able to afford those payments reasonably and you're properly financed, don't let these guys scare you out of buying your family home. You want to wait on an investment property. I get it. I get it. Again, we talked about it and see if it made sense and maybe it's worth waiting. But if you're looking to buy your family a home or your primary residence, stop listening to the hyperbolism. And then, one better, go look at those videos from a year ago from the same people when a price dropped $30,000 and they started talking about what a bargain it was because it was a great opportunity in the rising market. They were pretty bullish at the tops. They seem pretty bearish right now. I would be the guy taking the other side of that. Doesn't make sense to me. I get it. The prices look pricey and the rates are higher, but I think that's called inflation. Hi, Winston. I think that's called inflation, no different than a loaf of bread going from 99 cents to $1.99 or whatever it is. We've seen it everywhere. Unless you think the price of a can of soda and the price of bread and everything else is going back where it was, I wouldn't count on the housing going back where it was. I think it'll slow down, which is what the Fed's goal was, but I don't see us going back to where we were. I think that was the greatest time ever, and hopefully you bought, but if not, I'd be buying now still. So, like, subscribe, don't like if you want. Like, I like to argue, so feel free to make a comment and tell me why I'm wrong. Like, we can go back and forth. I don't get upset about it. I like to have those discussions because it makes you think. So if you're watching this and you think I'm an idiot, like, by all means tell me where I'm wrong, and we'll go back and forth. I love to chat. I think that's how we improve and learn, because maybe you'll give me something that I didn't see that makes me see differently. Um, but like, subscribe, say hello, and go buy yourselves that primary residence. Wait on your investments if you want, but buy yourself and your family that home and pass it down to your kids. Have a great day. Bye bye.